God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story. Let's begin with this truth. There is no one like our God. He is mighty in power, matchless in mercy, and faithful beyond measure. He does not discard what is broken, He redeems it. He does not overlook the wounded, He heals them. He does not avoid the shattered places, He steps into them and makes something beautiful. You may be walking through a season where everything feels like it's falling apart. You've said, God, I don't even know how to begin again. I'm not sure what's left of me, but I want to speak hope into your heart right now. God does not need perfection to move. He needs surrender. He specializes in restoration. He takes the parts of your life you thought disqualified you and turns them into the very foundation of your testimony. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 tells us that God came to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Beauty for ashes. That means even when everything looks destroyed, charred, lifeless, and beyond repair, God says, I can build something out of this. You might be holding pieces right now, pieces of a broken relationship, pieces of a crushed dream, pieces of a heart wounded by betrayal, loss, or disappointment. And maybe you've believed the lie that it's too late, that there's too much damage. But let me remind you of something. God is not intimidated by broken things. In the Gospel according to John chapter 6, verses 11 to 13, Jesus fed thousands with 5 loaves and 2 fish. But pay close attention to what happened after everyone had eaten. And Jesus took the loaves, and when He had given thanks, He distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. When they were filled, He said unto His disciples, Gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together, and filled 12 baskets with the fragments. Did you catch that? Jesus said, gather up the fragments. He cared about the pieces. He didn't leave them scattered. He didn't leave them behind, and He won't leave you behind either. Your fragments matter to Him. He sees what's been lost, what's been dropped, what's been broken, and He says, I can use that. The enemy wants you to believe that your story ends in ruins, but God says, this is just the chapter before the healing, the chapter before the rebuilding, the chapter before the glory. In Psalm chapter 147, verse 3, it says, He healeth the broken in heart and bindeth up their wounds. God doesn't just put a cover over your pain. He gets into the wounds. He restores what was stolen. He rebuilds what was torn down. He rewrites what was once filled with sorrow and makes it a story of redemption. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are not beyond repair. What's shattered in your life right now can become sacred in His hands. He is the potter and we are the clay. Jeremiah chapter 18 verses 3 to 4 says, Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels, and the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. God is making you again, not throwing you away, not casting you aside. He's shaping something new, something better, something beautiful, and your story isn't over. Because when God begins a work in your life, He always finishes it. He doesn't leave things half mended or half restored. He doesn't start healing you just to walk away when it gets hard. He is faithful to complete what He began. Philippians chapter 1 verse 6 says, Being confident of this very thing, that He which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. That means the same God who held you when you were falling apart is the same God who's holding you now, piecing you back together, not back to your old self, but into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone deeper in grace and more rooted in truth. Because what you thought would destroy you, God is using to develop you. The pain you didn't ask for is becoming the very ground from which purpose is about to rise. The rejection you endured is becoming the backdrop of your testimony. The loss you suffered is becoming the space where His love is about to fill every empty place. And when He's done, you'll look at the pieces and you won't see shame. You'll see a mosaic of mercy. You won't see ruin. You'll see restoration. You won't see the end. You'll see the beginning of a beautiful new story, because that's what God does. He is not only the God of the mountaintop victories, He is the God who kneels down in the dust and rebuilds what everyone else left behind. He is the God who writes stories through scars. He is the God who turns graves into gardens, mourning into dancing, sorrow into songs of praise. In the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it reminds us, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Not some things, all things. Even the things that broke you, even the seasons that nearly crushed you, even the memories you wish you could erase. God can use it, and he will. You don't have to have it all together for him to start. You just have to hand him the pieces, because in his hands, broken becomes beautiful, loss becomes legacy, and pain becomes purpose. So if you're holding pieces right now, don't hide them, don't bury them, don't be ashamed of them. Place them in the hands of the master craftsman and watch what he creates, because God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story. And it won't just bless you, it will bless everyone who hears it. And when he finishes writing that story, it will be a testimony of his power, not your perfection. Because God is not glorified by how well we hold it all together. He is glorified by how fully we let him take over. He doesn't need your strength. He's drawn to your surrender. He doesn't require spotless history. He moves through repentant hearts. Think of the woman with the alabaster box in the Gospel according to Luke chapter 7, verses 37 to 38. It says, "And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. She brought her brokenness, her shame, her story, and poured it out before Jesus. And he didn't reject her. He didn't rebuke her. He received her offering and gave her something greater in return: forgiveness, honor, peace, a new beginning. That's what happens when you stop hiding your pain and start placing it in his hands. You're not too far gone. You're not too damaged. You're not too complicated for the God who knit you together in your mother's womb. Psalm chapter 139, verse 14 declares, "I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." And if he made you in the first place, then he can remake you again. And this time you'll come out with something more valuable than perfection: a redeemed heart, a deeper faith, and a story that carries glory. So don't let the enemy convince you that your story is over. Don't let the broken pieces keep you bound in regret. Don't sit in the ruins when God is standing with you, ready to rebuild. In the book of Isaiah chapter 58, verse 12, God gives this promise: "And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in." That's who you are becoming. Not just a survivor, but a restorer. Not just someone who got through it, but someone who carries healing for others. Because when God puts you back together, you become a vessel of hope for the broken around you. Your scars will speak. Your story will shine. Your healing will point others to the same grace that rescued you. You may have started in pieces, but with God you will finish in purpose. Let your brokenness be the beginning of something beautiful. Let today be the day you stop covering the cracks and start giving them to the only one who can fill them. God is not done. God is not silent. God is not giving up on you. He's reaching down right now saying, "Let me write the next chapter. Let me make it beautiful," because God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story. And he will. And when he does, your life will not only reflect healing, it will reflect hope. Hope for the one who thinks they failed too many times. Hope for the one silently holding shattered dreams. Hope for the one who's convinced their story is over. Because your story will stand as proof that God still restores, God still redeems, God still rewrites. It won't be the polished version of your life that touches others. It will be the part that was once broken, the part that was healed by grace. The part you thought disqualified you, that God used to qualify you. That's the kind of story that shakes darkness and builds faith. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7 says, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us." You are that vessel, yes, fragile, yes, flawed, yes, once broken, but now filled with treasure, not because of what you've done, but because of who he is. You carry a light that came from the crushing. You carry a strength that came from surrender. You carry a testimony that came from trusting God in the middle of your lowest moments. And this is what God does best. He doesn't just repair broken people. He commissions them. He turns their pain into purpose. He sends them back into the world, carrying the very healing they once needed. This is how your story becomes beautiful, not because the pain never happened, but because the pain didn't win. Because God took what was meant to break you and used it to build you. And now, like Joseph in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, you'll be able to say, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. What was meant to destroy you is becoming the reason someone else survives." That's the beauty of redemption. That's the power of grace. That's the story only God can write. So don't be afraid to offer Him every piece, even the ones you've hidden, even the ones you've tried to forget. Let Him have it all, the broken dreams, the lost time, the mistakes, the wounds, and watch what He creates in return. A story filled with mercy, a story rooted in love, a story that shines light into dark places. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and He's ready to begin that chapter now. And as He begins that new chapter, you'll discover something powerful. Your healing was never just about you. Yes, God loves you deeply, personally, unconditionally, but the story He's writing through your life will reach farther than you can imagine, because restoration carries ripple effects. When God restores one life, He heals a family. He ignites a community. He awakens faith in others who had nearly given up. That's why the enemy tried so hard to break you, because if he could keep you in pieces, he could keep others from seeing the power of God through you. But the enemy didn't win, and he won't, because God has the final word, and He is declaring something over you now. I will finish what I started. I will redeem what was lost. I will make it beautiful. In the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 10, we read, "And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before." God not only restored Job, He doubled him. He gave back more than what was lost. He didn't just heal, He honored. He didn't just restore, He revealed His glory through it. And that's what God is preparing to do with your life. You will not walk in shame. You will not carry the label of your past. You will not live under the shadow of failure. You are being rebuilt in grace. You are rising with purpose. You are becoming a vessel of beauty, formed in the hands of a faithful God. So lift your head, shake off the ashes, let the weight of yesterday fall at His feet. God is not done. He is just beginning. And what He is building in you now will echo into generations. Because when God turns broken pieces into a beautiful story, He writes it so that others can read it and find Him. Let Him finish what He started. Let Him hold what you've tried to hide. Let Him write the rest of your story, because it's going to be more beautiful than you ever imagined. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and now is the time to let Him. And when you let Him, truly let Him, you'll realize the breaking was not the end. It was the beginning of becoming more surrendered, more refined, more aligned with heaven's purpose. Because what God forms out of brokenness carries depth, power, and weight that ease and comfort could never produce. It's in the breaking that oil is pressed. It's in the crushing that fragrance is released. It's in the wilderness that voices are trained to call on God with authority. And now the pieces in His hands are becoming something precious. What once represented pain is now being reshaped into purpose. What once was chaos is now the canvas for a masterpiece. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 reminds us, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." You are His workmanship. That means you are not random, not forgotten, not broken beyond use. You are being crafted by the Creator with intention, with precision, with eternity in mind. And your life, your real life, with all of its highs and lows, battles and breakthroughs, is being used to reveal the glory of God. One day, you'll look back at what tried to break you and say, "It didn't destroy me. It defined me. It made you desperate for His presence. It deepened your faith. It positioned you for everything that's coming next," because nothing is wasted in the hands of God. Not the tears, not the years, not the failures, not even the silence. He collects every part and says, "Watch what I can do with this." And when He's done, you won't just be healed, you'll be whole. You won't just be restored, you'll be released to help others find healing too. Because your story, born born in the broken places will become someone else's roadmap to hope, someone else's reminder that God still rebuilds, someone else's proof that grace is real and mercy still reaches deep. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story. He's writing it now, line by line, piece by piece. Let him finish it. And when that story is complete, you'll see that the pain wasn't wasted, it was woven into the fabric of your testimony, woven into your authority to speak life into others, woven into your wisdom, your compassion, your fire for God. Because God never gives you scars to shame you. He gives you scars to show that healing is possible, that what tried to destroy you didn't have the final word, that grace stood up when everything else fell apart. This is what separates the story of a believer. We don't just recover, we rise redeemed. We don't just rebuild, we rebuild with glory. And we don't just survive, we walk in power. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 to 4 says, "Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble, by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God." What God does in you, He intends to do through you. That comfort you received in secret, you'll pour it out to someone else. That healing that came after years of brokenness, it will become someone else's hope. You are becoming a well of grace, a walking testimony, a reminder that God doesn't abandon stories halfway through. He finishes them with beauty and power. So hold on, even if you're still in the middle of the process. Even if you're still holding the pieces, even if your tears haven't dried yet, because God is faithful. He's not pacing in confusion. He's seated in authority. He's not scrambling for a plan. He is the plan. And right now, even in this very moment, He is shaping what once felt shattered into something sacred. Don't rush it. Don't resent it. Don't run from it. Lean in. Trust Him. Watch what only He can do, because the world needs the story He's writing through you. Not a perfect story. Not a polished story, but a redeemed story, one that points every eye back to the goodness of God. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and He's already begun. And when it's finally revealed, when the story He's writing through your brokenness is read not only by you but by others, you'll understand why it had to happen the way it did. You'll see that the breaking was sacred, that the wilderness built strength in you, that the silence made you sensitive to His voice, that what felt like an end was actually the deep foundation of a new beginning. Because with God, every breaking comes with purpose. Every season of loss becomes a seed of legacy. Every scar becomes a signature of His healing hand. You won't just tell people that God restores. You'll show them what restoration looks like. You'll carry peace in rooms where others are in pieces. You'll carry light in places where you once sat in darkness. You'll carry the very grace that carried you. That is how powerful your story is. And the best part, God's not finished. There are still pages left to turn, still promises to be fulfilled. Still prayers He's answering, even now behind the scenes. So don't close the book. Don't walk away from the author. Let Him keep writing, because the story isn't just about what happened. It's about what He's doing now and what He's about to do next. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 18 to 19 says, "Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." A new thing is coming, and it's coming from the very place where you were once broken. The desert is about to bloom. The wilderness is about to produce water. The dry season is about to give way to a fresh outpouring, because God is a redeemer. He is a restorer, and He is the author and finisher of your faith. He started this story in love. He is writing it in grace, and He will finish it in beauty. So hand Him the pieces. Let go of the shame. Open your heart to hope again, because what comes next will not only heal you, it will bless generations. And one day you'll stand with full peace in your heart and say, "This is the story God wrote through me, and it is beautiful." God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and you, child of God, are living proof. Now walk forward with confidence. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust the one who holds the pen. He's writing something breathtaking. And when it's done, it won't just be a story worth telling. It will be a life worth living. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and by His grace, He's already doing it. And as you move forward, whether still healing, just beginning, or already walking in restoration, carry this truth with you. You are not defined by the pieces. You are defined by the hands that hold them. The potter never discards clay that's been marred. He remakes it, and what he forms is more refined, more meaningful, and more resilient than what it was before. You may still see cracks. You may still remember where it all fell apart, but one day you'll also see where God put you back together and made you stronger. You'll look in the mirror and no longer see shame. You'll see testimony. And others will see it too. They'll look at you and say, if God can do that for them, maybe He can do it for me. And you'll tell them with confidence, He can and He will, because your story will be living proof that grace still reaches, mercy still restores, Jesus still heals, and nothing is too broken for the hands of God. So take heart, be encouraged, let faith rise again. Your life is not a sum of shattered moments. It is a testimony in progress. And the one writing it has never made a mistake. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 declares, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." An expected end, not a random one, not a tragic one, a good one, crafted by the Father who loves you without limit. So don't give up. Don't settle in the brokenness. Hand it over. Let Him redeem it. Let Him use it. Let Him show you what He always had in mind from the very beginning. Because when God is the author, no chapter is wasted and every ending is beautiful. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and what's ahead will be greater than what was lost. And as your story continues to unfold, you will begin to understand one of the greatest truths of the kingdom. God never just restores us for ourselves. He restores us for His glory. That's why the healing goes deeper than the surface. That's why the restoration takes time, because what God is building in you isn't fragile, it's foundational. It's not just for this season, it's for every season to come. You will become the kind of person who doesn't just survive pain, but ministers out of it. You will speak from a place of experience, not just theology. You'll comfort others with the same comfort you received. You'll carry the fragrance of grace because you've lived in the middle of the fire and found Jesus still faithful. Your life will say what words never could. This is what God can do with broken pieces. Psalm chapter 30, verse 11-12 says, "Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to Thee and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto Thee forever." That's where you're headed, from mourning to dancing, from silence to singing, from brokenness to beauty, because your story is not about what was lost. It's about the God who found you, loved you, stayed with you, and is now bringing you into something far more glorious than what you thought had slipped away. This is not the end. This is not all there is. There is more. More joy, more peace, more purpose, more of God's presence in your life than you've ever known before. So let Him finish the work. Let Him breathe on the ashes. Let Him gather what's scattered and watch how He brings it all together in a way that only He can, for your good, for His glory, for the sake of others who still need to know that nothing is too broken for the hands of God. Your story is not over. It is still being written. And when the last chapter is complete, it will not be marked by ruin. It will be marked by redemption, because God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story. And if you let Him, that story will echo into eternity. And when that story echoes, it won't echo with pain. It will echo with purpose. People will hear your testimony and not just be moved. They'll be drawn to the God who moved in you. They'll sense something deeper than survival. They'll sense divine design, not because everything went the way you planned, but because everything was held together by the one who never let go. You'll be able to stand before people and say with boldness, "I've been broken, I've been emptied, but God met me there and filled me again." And when you say it, they'll believe you. Not because of your perfection, but because of your peace, because of the evidence of God's hand on your life. And this is what will mark the rest of your journey. Not the pain of the past, but the purpose it birthed. Not the weight of what was lost, but the glory of what was redeemed. You'll walk with compassion that can't be faked, with joy that doesn't depend on circumstance, with authority that comes from being in the valley and not giving up, because those who've seen God rebuild their ruins walk differently. They speak differently. They love differently. They don't waste time pretending. They point people to the only one who can do what He's done in them. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 4 speaks of what happens when God restores his people, and they shall build the old wastes. They shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. That's your calling, not just to be rebuilt, but to become a rebuilder, to raise up others from what you were raised out of, to repair what was broken in your bloodline, your home, your city. This is what God does with surrendered people. He doesn't just fix their stories. He makes them part of the story he's telling through the world. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep handing him every piece, because when God is finished, it won't just be a recovery, it will be a resurrection, and your life will be a living declaration. Nothing is too broken for God, nothing. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and he's writing that story right now through you. And when all is said and done, when you've walked through the healing, lived through the redemption, and stood in the fullness of what God has rebuilt, you'll look back and realize something profound. Every shattered piece had a purpose. You'll see how the pain that nearly broke you became the soil where unshakable faith was planted. You'll see how God used every tear, every setback, every season of silence to shape you into someone you never imagined you could become. Not in spite of the brokenness, but through it. Because God doesn't skip over the hard parts. He moves into them. He sits with you in the wreckage. He weeps with you, and then he builds. He takes what the enemy meant for destruction and turns it into a foundation, not a fragile temporary repair, but a lasting, unshakable, God-crafted work that cannot be moved. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10, this promise is given to those who have suffered and endured. But the God of all grace, who hath called us unto his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. That's what's coming. Establishment, strength, security, wholeness. You won't always feel like a work in progress. You won't always feel like a collection of broken pieces. One day you'll wake up and feel the full weight of peace, not because life is perfect, but because you know who holds your life together. Colossians chapter 1, verse 17 says, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. By him all things hold together. That includes your life, your mind, your heart, your future. He is holding you, and because of that, you will not fall apart. So breathe again, hope again, stand again. The God who turns broken pieces into beautiful stories is not done. Not with you, not with your journey, not with the story he's telling through your life. You were never too far gone. You were never too broken. You are and always have been held by grace. God can turn your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and one day that story will help someone else believe again. And as you go forward, let this truth echo in your heart. You were never forgotten. You were never forsaken. You were always being formed in the fire, strengthened in the silence, refined in the valley, and now released with a purpose. What once made you feel weak will now become the source of your greatest strength. What once brought tears will now become the reason someone else smiles again. What once seemed like the end will now be remembered as the place where God began again in you. So hold your head high, not in pride, but in praise, because what you've survived didn't destroy you, it prepared you. And now you carry something precious, a testimony, a voice, a story touched by the hand of God. You are no longer the person who broke. You are the one God put back together with intentionality, with compassion, with resurrection power. And that means your life carries weight. It carries impact. It carries the evidence that Jesus still restores. So whether you're walking into a new chapter or still waiting for the next page to turn, remember this: God is not done. The author is still writing, and the ending he has in mind is more beautiful than anything you've imagined. This is not just recovery. This is redemption. This is not just healing. This is honor. This is not just surviving. This is the beginning of legacy. Your broken pieces have not disqualified you. They have positioned you for healing, for purpose, for glory. So rise, shine, and walk boldly into the masterpiece he is creating with your life. God is turning your broken pieces into a beautiful story, and you, beloved, are living proof. And as you walk into this next season, walk with expectation, not hesitation. The same God who brought light out of darkness, who raised life from the grave, who spoke the universe into being, that God is writing your story. And when he writes, he redeems every line. Not one moment is wasted. Not one tear is unnoticed. Not one scar is meaningless. You may still feel the weight of what you've walked through, but soon that weight will become witness, a witness to the goodness of God. A witness to his power to restore, a witness to the fact that no one is ever too far, too broken, or too lost for his love to reach. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 promises that he will give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. That's what you're becoming, a tree of righteousness, rooted, unshaken, planted by God himself, and bearing fruit for others to taste and see that the Lord is good. So don't let your past keep you from your future. Don't let the brokenness convince you that you're disqualified. God doesn't just repair, he repurposes. He doesn't just heal, he launches. He's not asking for perfection, he's asking for surrender. And when you give him your yes, even from a place of pain, he gives you a future that far outweighs your past. You are being rebuilt for glory, refined for impact, positioned for purpose. So breathe in hope, exhale shame, and take that next step forward in faith. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning, and it's going to be beautiful. So if you're still holding pieces today, hold them with hope. Because in the hands of God, brokenness is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming. He doesn't ask you to fix yourself. He asks you to trust him, to bring the mess, the pain, the questions, the regrets, and lay them at his feet. And when you do, he does what only he can. He breathes life into what looked dead. He brings beauty out of what was shattered. He writes stories from scars and builds strength from surrender. Your brokenness is not your identity. Your redemption is. You are not defined by what fell apart, but by the one who's putting you back together, piece by piece, with grace and glory. So stand up, not because you're unshaken, but because you're held. Walk forward, not because you're fearless, but because you're led. Hope again, not because you understand everything, but because you trust the one who does. God is not done with you. Your story is still unfolding, and it will be more beautiful than you can imagine. Let every step you take from this moment forward be filled with the quiet confidence of someone who knows God is turning my broken pieces into something beautiful, and I will live to see it. Keep going. The best is yet to come.